Dr. John Worthen, President of Ball State University.
Thank you very much, Don. Welcome to all of you to this weekend where we're going to try to bring you up to date on what's happening at the university and where we're headed. Your comment, Don, about weather reminds me to remind this group to dress warmly for the football game tomorrow, because we have a big crowd and only those who are infirm will be able to get into the president's box. The rest of us, so dress warmly. Well, it's a great pleasure and really a relief to be with you today and among friends. After dealing with a deadlocked legislature last spring, NCAA investigators, the Commission for Higher Education, university personnel who are concerned about budget reductions, and the North Central Association evaluators who were here just about 10 days ago, I can say sincerely that it's a pleasure to see all of you. It's particularly gratifying because your presence here this weekend is testimony to your commitment to Ball State University. Let me start by assuring you that your confidence is well placed. Ball State is celebrating its 75th anniversary at a time of solid achievement. But despite our achievements, we also face a number of challenges. More than ever, our continued success rests on the ability of a great many people who have a stake in the university: faculty, staff, alumni, business and community leaders, political leaders, friends of the university, indeed students. We depend on all of you helping us by working together. In short, we can say that we are dependent on those who really care. It's like the airline pilot who announced that the plane had just suffered a major engine failure and was going to crash. Obviously, the cabin erupted in screaming, and the flight attendants were running around in a panic, and everybody was crying, and a number of people were praying, all except one person who seemed to be the picture of calm assurance. And his seatmate, very excited, looked over and said, "What's the matter with you? Didn't you hear we're going to crash?" "Sure," he said, "I heard the announcement, but why should I care? It's not my plane." But as you well know, it is our plane that's threatened, and we should care. Everyone in Indiana should care about the quality of this and other state universities. Through your involvement, you've already indicated that you care, and I'm very grateful. At the conclusion of the Wings campaign, I acknowledged that its success was due to a series of achievements. People like you were willing to invest their time and energy and money in Ball State because Ball State has demonstrated in many different ways that it is a good investment. At the time, I said one of the enemies of life is the foolish notion that there is a point at which we feel we've arrived. We scramble and sweat to reach what we thought was a goal, only to achieve it and feel a little empty, wondering if we climbed the wrong mountain. But life isn't a mountain with a summit or a game that has a final score. It is an endless unfolding, an endless process of discovery, and an endless confrontation with challenges. I said then that challenges keep coming and the challenges keep changing. And I'm here today to reaffirm that message The challenges keep coming, and we still need your help. To a great extent, the challenges now are external and political rather than internal and operational. Like public officials throughout America, our legislature and our Commission for Higher Education, indeed our citizens, are demanding that we do more with less. But Ball State anticipated this trend several years ago and initiated changes to improve quality and to become more productive long before it became fashionable, long before the book Prof Scam was published. We are now teaching nearly 20% more students than we did in 1985, but the state appropriation per student has declined 15% during that period. We have become more energy efficient and less dependent on single sources of fuel to heat and cool the campus. We switched to high voltage, less expensive electricity. We have kept our costs low. Room and board and tuition and fees at Ball State are the lowest, not just in Indiana, but in the entire Midwest. We've made changes in our health care program to reduce the acceleration of costs. We've concentrated our resources on our core business, teaching. And we've been very careful not to squander them trying to be all things to all people. Our assessment program shows that both the breadth of courses and the quality of education have increased. Our faculty currently teach more class sections each year, an average of 6.5 courses per year, than their colleagues at other doctoral universities who teach an average of about 5.5 sections per year. Retention has climbed from 63% 6 years ago, from the freshman year to the sophomore year now I'm talking about when I speak of retention. It's climbed from 63% 6 years ago to more than 77% this year. We raise standards by demanding that our graduates demonstrate writing and computer competency, and our students still pay lower tuition than their counterparts at many institutions that are comparable institutions in this region. For example, in-state tuition at the Mid-America Conference schools in Ohio, in those 6 conference schools, Ohio, Bowling Green, Miami, and so forth, their tuition is 34 to 60% higher than the Ball State in-state tuition. All this has been achieved on a state appropriation that for the past 3 years has been flat, no increase. It seems to me that these are textbook examples of increased productivity and efficiency. I've said that if we were Chrysler, we would call this productivity. But we didn't stop there. In September, we asked every college, every department, every office on the campus to look for ways to cut a combined total of $3 million from their operating budgets so that we could reallocate the savings and raise faculty and staff salaries, which incidentally are the lowest in the Mid-America Conference as well. It's proving to be a painful, gut-wrenching, emotionally charged task. But it is one more example of how we're determined to focus all of our resources on only the most important endeavors. We're determined to be the best stewards of the public trust we can possibly be. You need to know these things because we need your help in communicating the message throughout the state. We've worked hard telling people like the Commission for Higher Education, but it's difficult to get the message across that not all universities are neglecting teaching, not all universities are unproductive, and Ball State is one of the exceptions. We need your help in communicating this message. It's a little like the woman who went to an attorney and said, "I want to divorce my husband." The lawyer asked, "Do you have any grounds?" "About 10 acres, the woman said. "Do you have a grudge?" asked the lawyer. "No, only a carport," said the woman. "Does your husband beat you up?" "No, I get up about an hour before him every morning." Then the lawyer asked, "Why do you want a divorce?" And the woman replied, "We just can't seem to communicate." We are spreading the Ball State gospel, but some of the congregation doesn't seem to be listening. For example, the Commission for Higher Education can't seem to understand that we are a doctoral university, not a comprehensive institution like the IU regional campuses. That's a critical difference when it comes to setting teaching loads, because faculty at doctoral universities need to engage in research, to remain current, to provide context for their teaching, to provide public service to the state, and in many cases to keep their accreditation. The legislature has told us to make higher education available to more Hoosiers, and we have responded that the most cost-effective way to offer quality education to people who cannot come to the campus is through television, and we're prepared to deliver it. Last March, the Ball State Board of Trustees endorsed a strongly worded letter critical of the Commission's arbitrary suggestions for increasing faculty teaching loads. Board President Jim Parks, who's with us today, said, quote, "They need to know that we have been both productive and accountable to the General Assembly, students, parents, and employers." He also said, "While others have been talking about becoming more productive, our faculty have been doing it." We need your help. Coming from us, these words are to be expected, and to some extent they seem self-serving. But coming from you, people who know firsthand about productivity, about belt-tightening, about restructuring, they take on added significance. They carry clout. You've already done much to help us get to where we are today, but we still need your help. Perhaps now more than ever. As the state of Indiana surrenders more of its responsibility to fund higher education and the tuition burden on students and their families increases, we must rely more and more on private support to maintain the quality University Hoosiers deserve and the economy demands. Specifically, we need to establish endowments for academic programs, using the annual earnings to give us that edge, that margin of excellence that separates good instruction from superior teaching. And we can't generate the kind of financial support without your involvement, without your endorsement and your assistance. A National Development Council for Ball State is a natural outgrowth of the Wings campaign. And the time is right to develop a permanent relationship with its most influential supporters to ensure Ball State's continued success. Let me conclude with this pledge. Help us communicate our strengths, help us acquire the resources, advise us on setting a course, and we will bring the people of this state educational programs that are the envy of our neighbors. Again, I want to thank you all for your support over the years and for your ongoing commitment to help Ball State University keep moving forward. This afternoon, I am pleased to be followed by three people who are going to talk with us about their particular areas. Vice President Doug McConkey, who is Vice President for Student Affairs, Associate Vice President Robert Tad Perry, who is the person who works most closely, most directly with our legislature and is currently chairing the Partnership for Statewide Education, which is our television thrust with our consortium of 7 public institutions and the private colleges. And third, Associate Provost Beverly Pitts, who's sitting in for Provost Vanderhill, who came up with no voice. These three people are going to talk from their particular perspectives about where we are today and where we're headed. I'm now ready to turn over the podium to Doug McConkey. Doug?
Thank you, John. It is a teachers of belt tightening. They are resources. I've got 3 slides I want to share with you.
Look at 4 realities which impact our situation. Briefly, they are the source of our funding, the reality of the student and our consumer, the reality of activities. First, let me begin with the reality of our sources of financial support and ask Lynn to
Sometimes we don't realize how many we have that have national ranking, but among them are exercise science, architecture and planning, entrepreneurship, history, actuarial science, counseling, psychology, and many more. So we could spend the whole time talking about that, but instead I'd like to focus on the faculty about our faculty. I think they are a unique group of people for a university of our size and our mission. We take great pride in teaching, as you know. We talk a lot about where our faculty come from. We do very rigorous national searches. And by the way, when we do a national search, our faculty of Williams College, Northwestern, and some of the graduate programs they come from include the University of Texas, University of Pennsylvania, University of Michigan, Rice, UCal, Berkeley. So you can see the quality of people that we're attracting to our campus. One of the things that we mean by the teacher scholar. Let me read you what we say about the teacher scholar in the Vision 2000 statement. Teacher scholars are faculty who bring added strength to the classroom based on the wealth of knowledge they have